Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name is Mike, and I'm the programs director here at Africa Fire Mission. We're so happy you took time out of your busy schedules to join us for today's training. Today, we're going to be talking about personal protective equipment. We're joined by Errol Sianga. He's a volunteer with Africa Fire Mission, an instructor with ICT, and all-around great guy. So we're happy that Errol's here to join us for today's training program. Before we get started, just an administrative note or two. If you stick around for at least 70% of today's training, which is usually about 40 or 45 minutes, we'll get you a certificate of attendance for today's training. If you lose your connection or you can't stick around for that whole time, I'll be posting a link in the chat where you can find our Google Drive, where we'll post a recording of today's video along with a couple simple questions to answer. If you do that, we'll get you a certificate of attendance for this training as well. You can find that as well if you go to our website at www.africafiremission.org and click on the resources link under firefighter training. Bunch of great free resources. I encourage you all to check those out and utilize those free resources that we've got available to you there. When we get finished at the top of the hour, we'll transition over into our tea time, which is a time where you can ask questions, network with other firefighters throughout Africa. And that's hosted by Jose Nanjili. Jose is Africa Fire Mission's fire safety officer. And I'm going to pass things over to him for a few words of encouragement before we get started.
Thank you so much, Chief Mike. I truly appreciate you, and also Errol for availing yourself for today's class, and for you to sacrifice your bundles and your time. Self-development doesn't need no push. That is for you to actually push yourself to greatness. Push yourself to tell yourself, hey, I need to learn more. So today I was just looking at today's topic that Errol is going to be sharing. And I was telling myself, is it really important to wear PPE? And I came to the conclusion and said, your commitment to donning and maintaining PPE is more than a duty. It is a testament to the value of your life and the lives you protect. As you bravely step into a hazardous situation, remember that your safety is crucial for the safety of others. You need to stay vigilant in using and advocating for quality PPE. Now, quality PPE is for you to advise the administration that this is the right PPE to wear, because it stands between you and the risks you face daily. Your well-being matters to you and your family, your community, and to all of us who count on you to return to the fire station safely and for you to go home safely. So I wish you the best, even as you get to acquire good PPE and for you to be safe. Back to you, Chief Mike.
Thank you so much, Jose. We really appreciate you and all of your efforts that you do to try to help promote and assist firefighters throughout all of Africa. At this point in time, I think we're going to get ready to go here and begin our training. I'm going to pass things over to Errol to get us started. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good evening, Mike. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this training for today. We're going to talk about personal protective equipment. Just a second. There you go. Good, fantastic. We're going to talk about personal protective equipment, and we're going to see how we're going to take care of our equipment and we ourselves as well. So, first of all, what do you understand by personal protective equipment? It means the things that you use that protects you by yourself. We all need to remember that personal protective equipment is a last resort. It's a last resort. So all of us should make sure we are well up to par with our skills, we are up to par with our knowledge, and so that we be careful not to get hurt. So our objectives for the day, we're going to list the components of personal protective equipment. We're going to describe how all these things that you, okay, just a second. We're going to list the components of personal protective equipment, that's of structural firefighter or structural firefighting. We're going to describe the types of protection provided by the structural firefighting equipments or ensemble, and then explain how each design element of the fire helmet works to protect the head, face, and eyes. So today we are going to only concentrate on the face, head, and the PPE itself. We're not going to get into details on the SCIBA, but you're going to talk about our protective gear. So next objective is explain how each design element of a turnout coat works to protect the upper body. Specifically today, we are touching on structural firefighting, even though we have different turnout coats for wildland fire and other hazardous material types of PPE when someone is using when putting out fire. But specifically today's lesson, we're going to touch out on turnout coats. We're going to describe how each design element of boots works to protect. We're going also to describe how inspection, cleaning, and maintenance of PPE. Actually, this will be the major thing of all this discussion in terms of personal protective equipment. Inspection, cleaning, and maintenance for longevity and also for our health as well. So we jump into the lesson as well. So the first thing we need to know is proper wear of PPE. All of us need to know how to wear our PPE properly. We need to understand how do you put on PPE. When you put it on, do you put it properly? Does it fit you? Okay. So the first statement is saying, remember to do on properly, face is in place. It protects your face. And also when you're putting your SCIBA on. So as you protect your face, you're protecting the airway and your eyes. Remember also, as you put on your face, you have to put on your helmet and you have to put on your hood. And also you're trained as well on how to use it. Also, you're going to, the next point is all hanging closures or things that all hanging closures should be fastened. Anything that is loose, there's a tendency that it will drag you back or you might get entangled at a particular point. So all loose hangings needs to be fastened from strappings, chin straps, from the helmet, from the hood it will be tucked in, from the belts that you have around you, around the waistline, and any equipment that you've hooked it on. If it's a rope that you have, make sure where you place it it's fastened. If it's tied using a Velcro strap, then go ahead and use it. Then helmets, face shields should be worn properly to provide secondary layer of eye protection. Remember, your eyes are the window to your soul. Your eyes goes to your heart. It helps you visualize. It helps you see where you're going. It helps you know which direction to take. That's why visibility is very important. So you have to protect the secondary. So apart from the training, also you need to protect yourself. So PPE protects the body against limited amount of heat, okay, or an indirect amount of heat. So it does not say that it gives you heat resistance. It's a limited amount of heat. When exposed too much also, that degree of manufacture towards the PPE will not manage. It will break its integrity. So we move on to the next point. So we're done with proper way of PPE, and then points to remember. One, always wear the correct PPE that is designed to protect you from specific type of hazards. Okay, any type of PPE that you wear, make sure it protects you from specific hazards presented by the incident. If it's a hazmat situation, put on a hazmat suit. If it's a structural firefighting suit, turnout gear, you put on a structural firefighting PPE. If it's an airport rescue firefighting type of fire, you put on airport rescue firefighting type of fire. If you're going to do water rescue, then you have to put on water rescue gear or suit so that it can help you in relation to that hazard. It must be cleaned, maintained, and inspected regularly. I repeat, it must be cleaned, inspected, and maintained regularly. Okay, why are we stressing on being clean? Okay, if you remember, when you go for a response, you'll meet a lot of things around there. Your gear will not be clean because of the smoke, the dust, the dirt, and also the mixture of all burning materials. So it has to be clean. Also, you yourself, when you doff off the PPE, you're supposed to take a shower and make sure it's clean. Okay. Then number 2, properly maintain. Okay. All the firefighting gears are not, we can say they are costly. So you maintain, as you maintain your gear, it will have a longer lifespan with you. And also it's a way also of showing that you also are a very responsible person in terms of maintenance. No mishandling or no manhandling of the equipments and the PPE. And lastly, inspect regularly. Before, after, during. Inspection is a continuous thing. So you have to continue inspecting your gear each and every moment, each and every time, irrespective of if you're waiting for a response or you're just at the firehouse. Then unauthorized personnel or unauthorized person, okay? An authorized person is not allowed to repair any PPE. Okay, so it means only authorized people are supposed to repair PPE, or an authorized person may when you expose your PPE to specific hazards, okay, and they're damaged, so you're supposed to take to either the manufacturer and also deal with it and also repair it. So always be careful with the alteration of your PPE. Do not redesign, because the way the manufacturer designed it for a specific function, a specific work. So do not alter it. You're trying to redesign. You might compromise on its integrity. So we move on to the next point, which says in the next slide that says, now, these are a part of a structural firefighting PPE. This is just an example, the basics that you need to have. Okay, down on the floor flat, we have the bunker gear that has black markings on the knee area. Okay, then we have the turnout coat. So you have the bunker gear or the turnout gear, or the leggings. You have the turnout coat. Then we have closer to the helmet on the lower side, we have the gloves. Then on the above side of the helmet, we have the firefighter's boots. Then alongside the turnout coat of the far end of your image from your right side, there's the SCIBA, BA, self-contained breathing apparatus. So this is the basic of equipment that you need to have for structural firefighting. And then you add on the rest of equipment. So maintaining this one, it's very important. And also you need to put it on. We have just picked this particular picture so that all of us can get to understand the basics of all. So we'll get into details on each and every part of the PPE that it's mentioned. We begin with the helmet. These are just but examples of types of helmets that we have. As you see in the picture, we have different types of helmets in relation to the work they do, and also in relation to ranks, and also in relation to structural firefighting. So there are other helmets that have a smaller face shield, specifically a face shield that can be used during vehicle extrication, or you're doing cutting of, or you're doing ventilation, where there's a metal door you're cutting through. And there are other helmets that have a face shield that is used when you are working a wire that it has an excessive light that contains either some rays that may affect your eyes. These are just but examples of elements. So the narratives that follows next on this slide, it says it provides impact protection against falling objects. So where does it protect? It protects your head. Okay, so your head is the engine of your body. So they have to provide a protection to your head. That's why it's designed to protect your head. And often, okay, it's often color coded according to rank and function. Okay, in some stations, it's according to rank, which is true, and some function. Okay, in relation to which part of response are you moving towards or are you responding to? So they are color coded. For example, we have specific units like we have the rapid intervention crew team. We have the emergency medical services team. Also, we have rescue team. Is color coded in relation to their function, and also ranks. Administrator and all. Heated or scalding reach the ears. It prevents the
You got muted there a second, Arrow.
body that just a second. You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let me repeat what I just said.
Back to the
prevent
heat and scalding water.
Okay. Okay. Prevents heated or scalding water and embers from reaching the ears and the neck. The point that I mentioned earlier is these parts of the hair, parts of the head that contains the ears and the neck, they have a very soft skin and they are very sensitive as well. So also we're preventing you to have things like blisters to form, and also to have these burns which take longer to heal. So it protects you as well. The helmet, then wear the helmet correctly. Let's wear the helmet correctly so that you protect your head. Okay. In case, as all of us who have, as you during you're in your academy or in your training school, as you're being taught about how to put on your PPE, also taught how to put on your helmet correctly. Number one, the advantage of putting on a helmet correctly is a sign of showing your discipline. Okay, in terms of wearing your PPE. Number two, it helps you protect your head. Okay, when you wear it properly. And number three, it also makes you alert, because if you put it wrongly, also you won't be conscious of what's happening around you. You'll be either you've hidden a part of the scene so that you cannot size it up well, or you'll have not a good visibility from each and every corner. So we move on to the next. Okay, so protective hoods, fire hoods, specifically, they are designed to cover exposed skin, and they are constructed specifically for flame resistant constructed of flame resistant materials. Okay, flames, not fire. Okay, so flames. So the flames itself creates a resistance towards you. Remember, It does not say that now it's fireproof. It's flame resistant. It can resist to a certain degree of heat. Okay, because when it again is exposed to intense heat, it's now wears and tears. Then after a certain period of time, it loses its integrity. It's worn over the face piece, but under the helmet. It's worn over the face piece, but under the helmet. That is very true. It's worn over the face piece to cover, and then under the helmet as well. So as we move on to the next one, we have the turnout coat. We have the turnout coat. The turnout coat protects the outer shell. Okay, protects. We have the three in the turnout coat. We have 3 layers of the turnout coat. Okay, we have the protective outer shell. We have the moisture barrier, and also we have the thermal barrier. Okay, so it's designed in this. The manufacturer has designed this in relation to the research they did and found out that this is how the turnout coat should look like. This is how it should be managed. It protects you from the outer shell, the sharp rings or the materials that are flying over, and also as you're moving. So again, the moisture barrier, okay, it prevents the outer moisture from coming in, and also helps to maintain you from your body heat, so that you don't. Remember, when you're putting on your turnout coat, you sweat a lot. So when you sweat a lot and then you cool very fast, again your body can be affected. So it maintains the moisture barrier. So then thermal barrier, so that you cannot get that excess type of burn from thermal exposure by the fire itself. So that's a turnout coat. You have just selected this one, a turnout coat. Now remember, this is specifically for structural firefighting. So that's why it's in 3 pairs. For things like wildland firefighting, you find it sometimes it would have the 3 layers. It might have either 2 layers or 1 layer, depending on the environment or where the region where it is. So we move on to the next one. Boots, protective footwear. So those are fireman boots. Okay, this is just one of the designs of fireman boots. These days they come in very many different designs and manufacturers, but this is the specification of specifically how this boot should be designed. This is the SI units of designing this boot. If you want to construct a fireman's boot, it has to have a steel toe protection. It has to be prick protective. It has to have a layer that when heat cannot get in, and also easy to wear. It's comfy, and also movement is easy for you to move from one place to another, and also the sole itself, it's not slippery. You cannot slip, trip, and fall. So that's why it's called a protective footwear. It protects your ankles in terms of movement and twisting and turning. Protects your toes, the upper part of your bone called the tibia, and also you closer to heading above the tibia, next to almost the knees. So sometimes you might find it, there are other manufacturers who have fire boots that are very heavy to wear, but it's very protective. And there are other fire boots that they are the same design, but they're very, I can say, lightweight, but they offer the same protection. So these are the specific qualities of a fire boot that you need. So these days they are from different manufacturers. So this is just an example. So we move on to the bunker pants. Okay, constructed to match the turnout coat. Absolutely true. It's easy to wear. It protects you. It has 3-layer protective system, so that it protects you also from your waist downwards so that you don't get the heat coming in, and also as you're moving towards. It has also side pockets. It has should be large enough to don, okay, and also quick, should be large enough to don and quickly and more easily. And also it's flexible when you're squatting, when you're going up, when you're climbing the ladder, or when you're descending. So it shows how easy it is to put it on, and it's not hard. In some other bunker pants, at the knee area, they have a padding. Some manufacturers these days design them with a padding at the knee, because when you're crawling or when you're making movements inside your building, or when you're down working on a ground level, so you don't injure your knees. Okay, you don't injure your knees. And also when it gives you a soft landing sometimes when you want to move, how do you call, you want to hide from something, or you want to move at a very lower space that you need to crawl. So you protect your knees so that you still need them in the days to come. So as we head to the next point of our fire PPE now, inspecting PPE for damage or contamination. This I can urge all of us, let's make it a mandatory thing, okay, a mandatory part of our daily shift change, or when you're in shift. So it's saying inspecting PPE for damage or contamination at the start of the shift. After you've done your checklisting of everything and you've confirmed everything is intact, you also inspect your PPE for damages and contamination. If it's contaminated, you go on and clean it. If it's damaged, you look at the extent of the damage. So you go back to your supervisor and tell them, and then you change, or you're given another one. After every use, it means when you go for a response and then you come back, that means you have to inspect for any damage or contamination. Remember, in the fire service, any response, it's unique by itself. So whenever you don your PPE, you've already engaged your PPE into use. Even if you went there and found the incident that is happening, or you went for a response and then it was just a false call, but the PPE was donned, so you have to inspect for damage, because you're making movements from the time you hear the alarm, you get into your apparatus or fire truck, and then you move to respond to your location of where you've been dispatched to. Then you dismount from your fire truck, you head to the incident, you look if there's anything that you are assigned to do or you need to respond. Then again, you come back. At that particular point, you interact with the environment. So again, damages can occur, either one you can notice and the one you cannot notice. So you have to inspect. And then lastly, after washing, repair or decontaminate on a periodic basis. So cleanliness is important. So after washing, check if these repairs need to be done, and then if this decontamination needs to be done on periodic basis. Okay, so this is very important to all of us. Remember, points to remember again as we head to, as we remember what we have learned. Points to remember. Number one, only personnel trained or certified to repair PPE should be allowed to conduct repairs. Why? Because emergency response uniform are designed specifically for a specific purpose. So only qualified, certified to repair PPE should be allowed to conduct repairs. Okay. And number two, do not wash. Okay. Do not wash contaminated protective clothing on washing machines that are used by other garments or items, such as your home's washing machine or public laundry. This may expose you and your family and others to dangerous contamination. Okay? Whenever you respond, a mixture of all those chemicals, and then you mix them with your clothes, it's very dangerous. So these are the points to remember. They are simple points, but they have a lot of weight on them. Then follow the manufacturer's instructions. Absolutely. All those PPEs have instructions on how to handle them, how to store them, how to clean them. Let's all always create time when you get your PPE to read instructions and follow on the instructions. Remind each and every of our colleagues to read the instructions and to follow the instructions on our PPEs, irrespective of the type of PPE that you're using. And as we move on to a close to our presentation today, I would like us to watch a small video in relation to how we're going to handle our PPE and how we're going to clean our PPE. So I'll need all of us to have a look and get to see how best we can do. It's just a small video that teaches us how to work on our PPE, how teaches us how to clean, how to maintain. You can use available materials to available washing materials that have so that you can clean your PPE and then air them out. Don't expose your PPE to too much sunlight. Don't expose them to too much cold as you're airing them out, because now they'll wear and tear. So always take care of them. So I want us to watch a small video in relation to how we need to take care of our PPE so that also we learn from it. So just a second as we load it up. Okay, there we go.
My name is Mike Matros. I'm the owner, inventor, and founder of Redline Gear Cleaning. We are a mobile on-site gear cleaning company. Today, we're going to be taking you through the entire process of what is involved in cleaning, inspecting, and putting firefighting gear back in service. One thing I wasn't really aware of when I took the job as a firefighter was the cancer problem that's plaguing the fire service. Over the last 20 years, 66% of all firefighter line of duty deaths has been related to cancer. It's not if I get cancer, it's when I get cancer. That particular risk and exposure is something that we really want to try and mitigate. If the environment is toxic to the point where you have to wear your air pack, that's an exposure. Because if your lungs cannot handle the exposure, your gear is absorbing all those exposures into it, and that needs to be cleaned and washed. So the mobile extraction unit is actually a patented design that allows the truck to come directly to the fire station to be a mobile laundry facility that specializes in cleaning firefighting gear. It contains our water, our electric, big commercial extractors, dryers, equipment to clean helmets and air packs, all specialized equipment needed to clean firefighting gear specifically. First step for us is to assess the firehouse, and what that means could be going locker to locker, looking at the gear, determining how exposed the gear is, determining what's in the guy's pockets, determining what gear needs to be cleaned. This helmet is what we like to call in the fire service salty. This helmet is gross. It has seen a lot of smoke. It has seen a lot of contaminants. A little older guys tend to call their gear salty gear as a badge of honor. And they look at this gear as something that shows experience and shows they went to a very hot, very involved fire and they got really dirty. That is something that at Redline, we're really trying to change that culture. The badge of honor they're wearing is causing cancer to these guys. We're trying to tell them that clean is the new salty. This is our ultrasonic machine. So as you can see, we're loading the helmets in. And this is what has often been referred to as our deep fryer for helmets. We use a degreaser. We also use a sanitizer in here that's going to clean, disinfect, and sanitize your helmet to the point where it comes out. We just have to wipe it down. The helmet is probably the most important part to a firefighter in terms of his gear. Redline's all firefighter owned, firefighter operated. So some people like to say we washed away all their experience. I like to think we added a few years of life to there. We take a lot of time washing and cleaning helmets, and that's probably the most controversial thing we do as a company, because some people believe that helmet should never be touched. This gear is particularly very dirty, really needs a good deep cleaning from both the helmet, hood, jacket, pants, liners. All the gear really needs a good heavy deep cleaning because this gear has seen a lot of exposure. Once we've determined what gear needs to be cleaned, that gear has to be inspected. It has to be separated between the outer shells and the inner liners, completely separated, keeping those wash cycles completely different so we don't have cross-contamination between the cleaning. But while we're doing this, we're inspecting the gear. We're looking for any rips, we're looking for burn marks, we're looking for holes in the gear, we're looking for anything that can get a firefighter hurt. Here we have taken the inner liner, put it on our hydrostatic testing machine. This is a process that would test the moisture barrier of a firefighter suit to make sure that there's no leaks or any problems with the moisture barrier, to make sure that water isn't going to get to a firefighter's skin and cause steam burns. The next step would be to hand clean the gear. We use a product called Decon 7 that we scrub gear to the point where we get most of the contaminants off the gear initially. This is an important part for us as part of the process to get rid of any bulk contaminants that would be on that gear, whether it be insulation or anything else they might run into in the field. A firefighter's gear needs to be cleaned after every exposure. As you can see, it gets pretty nasty. After the inspection, the inner liners are then separated out. They're turned inside out, so this way we're washing the part that is against your skin first. Those would then go into our commercial extractor and be washed through our 5-cycle program. We use cold water for washing gear. This not only helps the cleaning process, but at the same time it keeps the colors and stuff in the fabric true. We can fit 6 sets of firefighting gear into these machines because they're so large. That's 12 pieces of gear going into each extractor. After both the inner shells and the outer shells clean through our extractor, they then go into their respective dryers. We're able to dry both the liners and outer shells in 1 hour. We lay out the boots that have to get hand scrubbed, and we are also fogging them, spraying them with a disinfectant. It's going to neutralize, it's going to kill, it's going to disinfect anything those boots might have come in contact with. One of the key elements to a firefighter gear is the hood they wear underneath their helmet and go through. That protects their ears, that protects their helmet. People forget to even clean these. Anything that's going to be exposed and touched to your skin should be washed the same way as if you would the liners that are next to your skin. The water that comes off this extractor is like a sludge, like a mud. So anybody who believes the cancer problem in fire service isn't real, I encourage you to see the wastewater that comes off this gear. It is nasty, it is black, it is like mud. So at the end of every job, it's important for us to show what the wastewater and what the situation is like in terms of what's coming off the gear. This is the stuff that's coming off your gear. This is stuff we just cleaned just now that has loaded with soot, loaded with chemicals, loaded with stuff that's causing cancer to these guys. And we make it a point to show these filters to all of our customers, to all the firefighters, to know just how dirty their gear was and how important cleaning their gear is. Our filtration process is so in-depth that it allows us to take really dirty water, filter it, run it through a number of filters, run it through a full process that makes that water completely clean, reusable, prevents us from putting toxic products back into the environment, and makes it a sustainable solution that we can keep using and be very environmental safe after we clean very toxic gear. Today, the fire service is made up of a lot of chemicals. In the form of combustion at a fire, every single room now has plastics, has particle board, has different materials that are burning. It's causing the fires to burn hotter, to burn more violently, and the smoke is thick, nasty, black smoke. So while the fire service has been around for years, the makeup and the exposures of the fire service are very different nowadays. Our final product is taking all 10 pieces of gear that was cleaned, putting it back together, putting it in a gear bag, ready to go. Boots are on bottom, pants, jacket, hoods and gloves tucked in the side, helmet on the top as one complete package, ready to go. We can't control the dangers of the job, but we can control the exposure rate of what these guys are exposed to from a cancer-causing substance that's really killing this fire service. I don't need to see soot and dust all over a guy's helmet and gear to know he knows how to do his job. I want to see a guy who's clean, got his uniform in shape, everything is properly ready to go. He's able to perform his job to the best of his ability. That's a salty firefighter.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope all of us have seen how we clean our PPEs and how to take care of our PPEs. Thank you all for attending the lesson, and thank you for listening in. And yes, over to you, Mike. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Errol. Nice presentation that we've gotten here today. At this point in time, we always like to open up the floor for questions or comments or something like that. Let me tweak the settings a minute here so you guys can unmute if you'd like. And the floor is open. If you've got any questions, you can use the raise hand feature. You can unmute yourself. You can post a question in the chat.
I have a question, Mike.
Yes.
Question to all of us. What do you use? From the video, we could see that it was a company that was cleaning the PPE. So in our local fire stations, what do we use locally to clean our PPE? The bunker pants, the turnout coat, the helmet, and the boots. What do we use to clean? You can share your answers on the chat, and also you can reserve the tell.
It's a great question. What are you guys doing to clean your gear? How are you going about that process? In the video that we watched, you know, this private company that the fire brigade will hire to come in and do this deep, thorough cleaning with it's a great business idea for somebody if they wanted to start a good side hustle, but it'd be very expensive, right? The commercial extractors and all that equipment. It's very expensive equipment. A lot of that stuff may be out of reach for your fire brigade. So what are you guys doing to clean your gear? How are you guys going about that? Are you guys going about doing that? Are you guys cleaning your gear? Do you need some ideas of what you should be doing with the resources that you've got available? If somebody says they're doing it manually using detergents and cleaning brushes, good. How about drying the gear out? What do we do? What are you doing to dry your gear? Many of you probably only have a single set of gear, or you may need to share that gear amongst other shifts or something like that. So if you're out on an incident and it gets wet or you've washed it, what do you do and how do you get it dry?
And bathing will be the best option. Like we hang them out.
Hang them out? Where are you going to hang them out?
Within the facility.
Okay. Inside?
No, outside.
Outside. Okay. In the sunshine?
Yes, in the sunshine.
Okay. I would caution against hanging them out in the sunshine. That'll get them to dry quickly, right? If you put it out in the hot sunshine. But we want to try to protect that PPE from the UV rays of the sun. The UV rays from the sun are damaging to the materials. It weakens the protection that equipment can give you. So, I mean, obviously, you know, when you're wearing that PPE, you're out in the sun, right? So that's okay. But if we're gonna dry it, and actually for it to take a little bit longer to dry is sometimes better for the material than it rapidly drying out in the hot sun. So you want to be sure you put that out in the shade where the breeze, air movement across it is the better way to get some rapid drying. If you can hang it out and point a fan towards it or something like that. But we want to try to limit exposure to the sun and exposure to UV rays as much as we can, both when we're drying it and even when we're storing it. Make sure that it's not stored in an area where there's a lot of sunlight coming in through windows or doorways or something like that. Other questions, comments, concerns? Just one more point to touch on. We talked about making repairs to the PPE, and a lot of you probably don't have access to someone that's authorized to make those repairs by a manufacturer. Just something to keep in mind. One of the reasons that we say, to only have an authorized repair person take care of that PPE. The big thing is when you're making repairs, do you have access to the same materials that the equipment was made out of? And especially, if you're going to sew some pieces back together, maybe one of your simpler repairs is that you have to sew something together that was cut or torn, or reattach a pocket or something like that. The thread that is used to sew together these garments is a special thread. Typically, it's got a little bit of a Kevlar material so that it's very strong. It's heat resistant. So, if you use the wrong type of thread to sew that material together, that thread, that hole may melt as soon as it's exposed to heat and reopen that and expose you to danger, or it may not be the right stuff, so it may not be tough enough to withstand it. So that's one of the reasons that we caution that you should only have an authorized repair person take care of that gear. But you also have to recognize that if you don't have that resource available, what do you do? So if you have to, in that sort of worst case scenario where the only option is to try to find someone locally to repair it that's not, an authorized repair person or something, is to be very cautious in the selection of the materials that you're using to repair that, and make sure that you're choosing the absolute best materials that you can. That's not something that you want to use the most inexpensive or the cheapest materials for, if that makes sense to y'all. We have any other questions or comments as they relate to personal protective equipment, personal protective ensembles? Okay. I am going to, I think, wrap up sort of the formal portion of our training here with a big thank you to Errol for putting together this presentation and walking us through the different parts of our PPE, and especially that how to care for it. As he mentioned, this PPE is very expensive. There's limited access to it. So when we do acquire that stuff, we want to take care of it as best we can, try to make it last as long as we can. So thank you, Errol, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge. Thanks to all of you in the audience there for taking the time out of your schedules and spending your bundles to be here and join us. We do have lots of seats left in the classroom here. So if you know anybody else that you think may benefit from this training, I encourage you to go ahead and invite them to to join us. Share that link. You can also find the link for registration on our webpage, www.africafiremission.org, under the resources for training. You can click that registration link. You can also find recording of today's training and all the other trainings that we've done so far this year. You can check those out and get a certificate of attendance for any of those that you might have missed. Encourage you all to check that out. Thank you all very much. Hope to see you all again next week.